Hi, I'm Mike Messier, and welcome to Short Film Showcase, the show where we feature the very best short films, filmmakers, and actors from the New England region and across the world. On this show, we have two very special guests. But first, let's check out the acting reel of our first guest, Jan Waldman, right here on Short Film Showcase.
Mommy, look! It's a mummy!
That's nice, sweetie.
Mommy!
Mommy's busy. Play with your dolly. How was your day, honey?
All right, I guess.
Well, how are classes going?
Fine.
You sure you feel all right? You look a little pale.
Well, there's this bully at school.
Your father's right, but you shouldn't get into fights. I don't want you getting in any trouble at school.
Norwegian explorers Helga and Ann Ingstad began searching for the unknown location of Vinland. After a local fisherman showed them the remains of turf huts in Newfoundland, they were able to pinpoint the exact location of a settlement.
Wasn't she terrific? Right now in studio we have Jan Waldman.
A pleasure.
Now Jan, it's great to have you here. And you're an actress, obviously we just saw your reel.
Yes.
And tell us about your relocation. You were originally from Minnesota and you came to New England.
Yes, 1984, so I've been here a long time.
Okay.
And so I'm not really a New Englander, but I'm not really a Minnesotan anymore, so.
Yeah. So if the Vikings play the Patriots, you just step away from the TV.
I don't get involved in that.
Now tell us about your acting. How did you get started with acting?
Well, it was funny. I sort of fell into it only a little over a year and a half ago. Adam Sandler was filming a movie in my town, and I started watching and noticing people in town were working on it. I thought, you know, I could do that. Signed my kids up for it. One of them was called, never answered her phone, Mr. Big Opportunity.
Oh boy, yeah.
So then I was eventually called to work on Clear History with Larry David.
Oh wow.
And I worked 2 days on that. I got to stand right next to Larry David, and I was hooked. That was it. I thought, I can do this. This is great. So I found out from the other actors what to do. I signed up with all the casting companies. I started researching what I should do, went into student films, got some commercials. It sort of snowballed. It went very quickly for me.
So kind of to follow the arc of the story, basically you started with doing some, you know, what they call background acting, or I've done a lot of that, extras work. And then as you got to meet people through those circles, then you started doing the student films where probably you had more featured roles, I would guess.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's a pattern that's good because you kind of see these big productions with literally millions of dollars behind them, and then you see the grassroots student films of these young up-and-coming filmmakers.
And I enjoy them. I really enjoy the student films. The kids are great. They're bright. They're interesting. It can be a disaster half the time.
Right.
You may never see the footage.
Yeah.
But I've always learned something, and I'm always glad to do it. And I tell all new actors to do student films.
What schools have you worked with?
Emerson,
Yep.
NYU, BU, Northeastern, and I think that's it.
And that's a good range because all those schools are highly accredited, highly respected. Emerson has a great film department,
Yes.
for instance, and Boston University, BU.
Yes.
Yeah. Any of those student films stick out as something you'd like to mention?
Oh, a few of them. One was nominated for a Student Academy Award. It was a graduate thesis film, BU. Joe Dwyer was the director. And it went to Hollywood, and they didn't win, but they were nominated, and that was an amazing film. And that was an interesting role because it didn't call for a female role.
Okay.
And they were looking for scientists, and I'm like, well, I can be a scientist.
Sure.
So I sent in my submission, and I thought, well, they picked me, and he called me in for an audition, and I got the part, and I ended up being in a film that was nominated for a Student Academy Award, so it was great.
That's incredible. That's just great.
It was a great crew, too. They were very, very accomplished and skilled, and it was a good experience.
Let's go through that process a little bit for those who are out there, because we have a lot of people who watch our show, whether it's in New England or other parts of the country, and they do want to know how do they get involved. So how did you even know about the notification for that audition, for instance?
Well, I signed up. BU College has a casting notice, and you can be on their list, and they'll send you the notices.
Okay.
And I think that's how I saw that one. But I get a lot of my casting notices through New England Film,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is common.
Which is on both their .com and their
Yes.
Facebook page, and I always use that myself.
Yes.
So.
And New England Actor as well. I'm part of that, so I get a lot of casting notices from that.
And people in other regions can find Backstage West, or all types
Right.
of.
Some people use Craigslist. I haven't, but some people do. So.
It's treacherous on there.
Yeah,
It
it's
used to be pretty good, but now it's a little.
A little too scary,
Yeah,
maybe.
it's a little scary. But this is great. So people, like yourself, find these notifications. You send in, I assume through email, your
Yes.
headshot resume and maybe the reel as well. And
Yes.
they look at it and they say, hey, this is great. Come in for an audition, and you nail the part.
That's right. That's right. It's
Now,
been great.
as an actress, when you go out for an audition, I know all situations are a little bit different, but how do you prepare for that? How do you prepare to go through an audition? Do they send you what's called the sides first? Or?
Well, if they send the sides, I read them. If they send the script, I read the whole script because
Yeah.
I try to get a feel for what my role is about. If it's just the sides, it's a little harder because it's usually on a couple of pages, and you don't always get a feel. So I try and ask questions when I arrive, and to see what they're looking for, if a mood or something that isn't quite clear in the script.
Right.
So I'll do that. And I don't memorize them always. I know them because I feel it's good to hold it in your hand. And every class I've taken, they always say, well, I don't know if you need to memorize them because that's why we give you the sides.
Right.
So it's one of those schools of thought. Sometimes they like you to come in perfectly memorized, and sometimes they don't care as long as you know the material.
And from the filmmaker's perspective, a few friends of mine who just started making their own first films, I said, Mike, the actors want to know where the sides are. What's the sides? And I've explained, it's a simple question, but it's an easy one to answer. Sides are about a page, maybe 2 pages at the most, of dialogue from the script. And then the actor has that to audition with, rather than going in there and trying to memorize a whole script, which would be an arduous task for everybody.
Very.
Yeah.
Well, I have a good side story. My
Please.
very first audition, it was the NYU student film, and I had contacted the director, very talented. I'd looked at her work. She was amazing, was filming in Boston. And I hadn't had any speaking lines. And so I said, oh, if you need background, I'd love to work on your film, because I just thought she was so amazing. And she goes, well, will you try out? And she sent me the sides. So I didn't know what sides were.
Right.
So when I got there, they were filming me, and they said, well, read your name into the camera. And I said, her name was Maria something. And I said, and it said, Maria Sides. I think it took all it had for them not to fall off their chairs at my inexperience. But I didn't get the part, and she ended up hiring an actress from New York. But she did call me, and I did work background for that film, and she just had her screening, and it was a phenomenal film. So
That's great.
yeah,
That's
so it all
great.
worked out.
It's just, everyone's got to start, and whether it's a filmmaker or myself or you, we all start somewhere, and then we learn these things.
Correct.
And it's just an interesting experience for us all, because there is no rule book or
No.
guidepost book or anything. There's no Yoda telling us how to be Luke Skywalker. So to speak.
Well, I think the best thing that has served me is that I just use all those rules our parents taught us. Show up on time, do what you're told, and do it to the best of your ability. And I find that has taken me quite far in less than a year and a half.
That's great.
So,
Tell us about some more experiences you've had.
well, another great one was a movie an indie film by Sylvia Kovachev. She wrote and directed it, and it's called Moments from a Sidewalk. And it was just finished, and it's being submitted to film festivals all over the world right now.
Nice.
It was wonderful because she paid all the actors, she paid the crew.
Wow.
And she found me on New England Actor, and
Nice.
I sent in an audition, and I got it. And I didn't think I did because I just, how it goes. Sometimes the video auditions can be a little more difficult.
Right.
And I got the role, and I play a wealthy Bostonian woman who befriends a homeless girl. That doesn't give
okay.
away anything. But so she is just now submitting this all over the world. So we don't know where it's going to be accepted, so we'll see.
Well,
but
it's
that
very
was
exciting.
a really good experience with a professional
Yeah.
background setting.
That's awesome.
Yes, that was a good one.
Very cool. What else? Tell us more.
Well, I'm also working with Seth Chitwood.
Oh, yeah.
You probably know Seth, from Angelwood Pictures. And I'm working production behind the scenes. I'm helping him for about 10 days in July, just helping him with casting and wardrobe and everything that, as you know, entails, and getting it set up and contacting the actors. And I really want to learn every angle of this business. I helped him with some casting and the behind the scenes, and I really feel it makes you a better actor to understand every component, you know, the lighting, the camera, the time it takes to put together all the paperwork that needs to be done or sent out to the actors.
Yep.
And then the back and forth with the actors, if they're confused, or am I here today, am I here tomorrow, you know.
Right.
And it's really, it's good to see all sides of it, for me.
I think it's a great idea because, like, you just appreciate that everybody on the set, from the gopher, if there is a gopher, or production assistant, to the director, to the producers, are all working hard. Whether it's a student film or a major motion picture, everybody's working so hard on these things. And now you're getting that glimpse into that and that experience more so. That's fantastic.
That's great. And what I loved, when I started, I did work background, and I use it as a class.
Right.
I sit there and I just watch for 12 hours or whatever I'm doing, and I watch the director, the Hollywood director, and I watch everyone on set, the actors. I learned so much. So to me, you know, background work is very difficult and, and long, and you know, it's a long day. But what I've learned is so worth it, and I'm glad I did the background work I did and started with that.
Are you segueing out of that, you mean, or
well, you know, I don't do as much.
Yeah.
It just, you know, if they call me and I can do it, I'll do it. But I would, you know, maybe be a little pickier about what I do. I worked on Blood Brothers, which is a German film.
Oh, wow.
And there were only 8 background, but I wanted to do that film, so that's why I did it.
Right.
And I took German in high school, so they only speak German on the set. So it was great because I understood a fair amount of what they were saying. So I was learning something even on that set. So I'll take jobs just to meet the director, too.
Right.
Like I worked on Tommy DeNucci's.
Oh, yes.
For 2 days on Almost Mercy.
Yes.
Because I wanted to just be on set with them.
See what's going on.
And it was great. I had 2 great days, so it was really worth it. So for me, I don't say, oh, I don't do that or I don't do this. I do things that I feel can make me, that I'm able to meet someone, or I'll learn something, or make connections.
Have a good experience.
Exactly.
And each case is different. You might get called in for a Hollywood movie to do backgrounds, and some of these scenes, you know, they need 500 people, 1,000 people. For some of these, you know, say a boxing match, they need to fill up the arena, something like that. Or you might get something what's called featured background, or there's going to be less people, or it's going to be a major motion picture with a certain person. You want to just see what they do, you know.
Yes.
So everything is different. And I like your attitude. It's great.
Yeah, I don't eliminate anything.
Yeah.
I still keep it all open, because if it's a good opportunity, I'm not going to pass it up.
That's
I don't
good.
care if I'm not speaking or not. If I can learn something. The other thing I do is I take a lot of classes.
Yeah, that's great.
And that was something someone had told me to do. And I have taken from Kevin Lassett from Sandwich, Massachusetts, Tom Todoroff, he comes from New York, Steve Blackwood, who was recently back from LA, and New England Actors Workshop, Eric Derrickson, who I love.
Great, yeah.
And Rich Bailey, so they're wonderful. And I took the Meisner 1 class. I haven't taken the Meisner 2. I got too busy with things. So I really believe people need to constantly, if they can, take classes.
Yes.
And there are so many opportunities to observe a class for free. And I know a lot of actors are cash-strapped. And I always tell the young ones, go to these classes. You can go for free the first time. You're going to learn something.
Yes, of course.
So it's never a waste of your time, even if you can't sign up for the full session.
Well, Jan, as an acting coach myself, I appreciate this, you know, just on behalf of all the, because it's important, and people don't realize, you know, like, hey, you're not going to just wake up one morning and say, I'm an actor, or I want to be an actor, and just walk into Hollywood in New York City and you know, click, 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 here comes the cameras. You have to put the work in.
Yes, you do.
So that's great that you're doing that.
Yeah.
And tell us about, for instance, the Rich Bailey, because he's been on here, and Erica Derrickson. What have they taught you?
Oh, the Meisner class. I took Meisner from Rich Bailey, and it was very difficult if you've ever taken it. It makes you go to a place that most of us aren't comfortable, and I think as the older we get, speaking for myself, that you know, you're taught to not say certain things or act a certain way, but they want you to reach in and just get over that.
Right.
And one of the things we had to do was insult a fellow actor.
Wow.
And that's really hard for me. Well, for 2 reasons. 1, I don't like to do it.
Sure.
And 2, I have this problem with being brutally honest.
Oh, wow.
So it was really easy for me to do on one level, but very hard for me to do on another level.
Wow.
So that was uncomfortable. I found that to be the most difficult part of the Meisner class, was the insulting. You do it to get the reaction out of the other actor, so it's an honest and quick reaction.
Now, do you insult them personally, like their personal appearance or what they're wearing?
Anything goes.
Wow.
Anything.
Wow.
Anything.
Wow,
I mean,
wow.
it's as bad as you can imagine. And it did get that way with some. And most of the time, you know, you would laugh because you were in there,
Right.
which was still a reaction, so it was okay.
Right.
And then Erica, I took a social media class from because I'm a
Yes.
little behind on the Twitter and the Instagram and
Yeah.
Facebook. It's a little, you know, once you reach a certain age range, it's not something you want to spend a lot of time on. I found I spent a lot of time on it. I do get most of my castings from Facebook.
Yeah.
So I really do have to look at it. But it was great. She took away some of the restrictions I had about, you know, putting yourself out there.
Right.
You have to be careful. You know, you can't do too much, but you need to make yourself available if you want any feedback or if you want to be connected to people.
Make a human connection.
Yes.
I think we were in the same class, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yes, you were
Yeah,
there.
I
That's
was there.
right.
I was there.
I thought it was very good.
It was very good. And
I learned a lot. Now, you probably are far more savvy than I, so did you?
I learned some tricks from Erica Derrickson.
Yes.
She's been on our show twice. And
Oh, good.
Some of her techniques were that one little thing is to post photographs with your Facebook updates, because if you just post, like I like to post these questions,
Right.
these existential questions
Right.
about anything, just to get attention and just to get a little thrill. And so now I try to post a little photograph, even if it's a non sequitur photograph, for some humor. And for whatever reason, these Facebook posts, people seem to appreciate them or like them or pretend they like them, you know, or something. And it gets your
Exactly.
name out there.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And she did give good advice. Or going back and liking something, then it brings it back up to
Right.
focus. So, you know, she had nice tricks that really helped. I like that.
Tell us about some of your other classes that you've been experiencing.
Tom Todorov is from New York, and he teaches, or has in the past, Gwyneth Paltrow, Liam Neeson, you know, just amazing actors. And there's a whole list. I can't even remember them all.
Sure.
And he's one of the most amazing people to watch. He's tough. I mean, you need to be ready before you go in front of him. And I've only observed him, but some people have. Very brave people have gone
Right.
in front of him. He has a theatrical side, so some of his critiques are theatrical, and if you're not theatrically trained, I think people ran into an issue with that. Like he'd say, keep your body facing, you know, and your
Right.
voice has to be you know, to the farthest person in the building.
Yes.
And we don't always have to do that with film because the mic picks it up. So we don't always have to be doing that. And I could see some actors ran into trouble and critiques with things that they maybe weren't familiar with.
Right.
And so it made me realize if I go up there, I need to know my stage and which direction I'm facing at all times, and know my placement.
You play to the room, and what Michael Caine, in his acting in film video series, which you can find on YouTube, and the print version, Michael Caine says that acting for theater is acting with a scalpel, and acting for film is working with a laser.
That's good.
Either way
very
is tough. Either way, you're a surgeon one way or the other.
Exactly. But Tom Todorov is very strong, and he if you want to be an actor, we're talking LA and New York, I mean, he's going to tell you what you need.
Yeah.
And that can be hard
It can
to
be.
hear, but if it makes you better, that's okay.
And the headshot, I mean, we can go on and on. But
Yeah.
even like something simple as the headshots, and in this area, unfortunately, some actors don't even know the headshot resume deal. You have to have 8x10, is your headshot, not 8.5 by 11. And not 11 by 14. Some people come in with these huge, headshots, but it's like, what is this? A pizza, you want a nice 8x10, and on the flip, you want your 4 staples in the corner with your resume trimmed, and not with paper clips. You don't want 4 paper clips in the corner, for easy separation. You want the staples.
Right.
It can be overwhelming at times,
It can.
all this information.
It is. And I always try and help. I think of myself as a newbie, but I always try and find someone on set or somewhere that I can give a helping hand to, because that's how I got here.
Right.
Because people were really nice to me. They gave me the information. They told me what to do. I didn't know what to do. If I didn't know what sides were, I barely knew action and cut when I started. I mean, that was it.
Right.
I didn't know what back to one meant. I mean, it makes sense if you think about it, but I didn't know
Sure.
what it meant. And so I always try and find people, and I'm always sharing casting notices with others, and and recommending people, and
Yeah.
I love to do that.
Well, this region lends itself to that, New England, because there's less of a, although there's a lot of people involved comparatively to New York or Los Angeles or even Chicago, there's less people involved. But
Yes.
I've heard, and I haven't experienced this myself, but in LA it's cutthroat. You know, you could casually mention that you're going to an audition to a friend, and they'll Google it and they'll find out, and then you show up to that audition and they're there before you. You know?
And I have heard that. And I decided, we all choose how we're going to move forward. And I
Right.
decided that if somebody wants it that bad, I'm not going to cut anyone off at the knees.
Okay.
And I feel like I speak for myself. Directors know what they want. I may look like their mother-in-law, and they don't like their mother-in-law, and I'm not going to get the part.
Right.
So, you know what? They know what they want, and I'm going to risk that. If 500 more people show up because I shared a casting notice, then,
That's really nice of you. I mean, that's a good attitude, and that's almost like a Zen philosophy, or
Yes.
putting out the positive energy, and as it is for you, coming back to you in full stride. We're coming towards the end of our interview, but anything you want to say as far as how people can reach you or check out more of your work or what's coming
Well,
up?
they can find me on my Facebook page. I have a Facebook page, and it lists my reel and my website, so you can get it from there.
Okay.
And my phone number, and that's probably the best way to reach me.
Yeah. Jan Waldman.
Jan Waldman.
Yeah. I got confused because Walden Pond.
I know. Walden Pond.
Right.
E-N, M-A-N. That's okay.
But I really have enjoyed this conversation about all aspects of acting. It's been terrific.
Oh, thank you so much. Me
Thank
too.
you, Jan.
Thank you.
Right now on Short Film Showcase, we're going to take a look at God's Country. It's a short film that I wrote and directed myself. It stars Irina Pelograd as a therapist and her patient, Mark, played by Mark Carter. Let's check out God's Country right here on Short Film Showcase.
Who said Calgary is God's country? Breaking the girl, breaking apart, and breaking laws. I introduce to you the one and only Eddie Paws.
I walk among you, silent in my presence. Nobody recognizes me. Nobody knows that I am here. What I've done in the past. Lives owe themselves to me.
Eddie's been to rehab for things he hasn't done. He just wanted to be prepared in case he ever got an addiction. But he has one problem. Pet peeve. Tiny vice. You see, he plays, but doesn't ever play nice.
This universe depends on me.
Well, Eddie's been in a place so nice to be. A rainbow office of confrontational therapy.
Not in what you see as me.
Where you don't have to be right or wrong. You just gotta be.
This is a shell, a container. I'm the box many gifts are in.
And everybody's crazy. Just a little crazier than me.
My body does not possess my soul.
And I'm the one having fun. Getting paid for therapy.
The soul of Eddie Paws, he died a long time ago. He was not strong enough for this world. Now I'm a carrier. I walk as Eddie Paws, but I've allowed my body to be opened up to wandering spirits.
So now join us as Eddie sits down on the couch and hear the atmosphere projecting from his mouth. What are wandering spirits?
Whoever needs to be here. At any given point, it could be anybody. Don't ask me the names. The names don't come. Just the thoughts and images of places I've never been. Not as Eddie Paws. I don't know where they come from. Names aren't important.
What is important?
What isn't important? The whole ship is about to sink. Take with you what you can. The whole ship is about to sink. What can you carry under two hands? The whole ship is about to sink. Women and children first. And they ask why fathers disappear. Women and children first.
So, who are you, Eddie Paws?
I'm a conch shell. Most people walk over me. Kids throw me on the rocks, make me shatter to a million pieces. Some romantics throw me back in the sea, thinking they're doing me a favor. Old men put me on the fireplace, take me home like a year-round Christmas tree.
What should they do?
Pick me up, listen, I don't care. But if they pick me up, they can hear the whole ocean.
You know the whole ocean? Tell me about the whole ocean.
Where do you want to start?
Tell me about God.
What do you want to know?
What's he like?
How do you know it's a him?
He isn't.
He is. He doesn't care about us. Tick, tick, tick goes the time bomb. The time bomb goes tick.
Oh, what time bomb?
Ever see destruction? Ever see death?
Yeah, sure, on television. I have HBO. They do specials on mass murderers, serial killers, police brutality. It's fascinating.
Ever see a child being born?
Once.
What did you think?
There's too much blood.
So you don't have any children?
We're not here to talk about my life.
Why not?
I'm only talking about myself.
That makes you a good listener.
By default.
Maybe you don't have anything to say.
Maybe. I got a letter from a sender. And it told me what to do. It said to send the letter to 9 friends. And that included you.
I mean, it's time for you to grow up. Stop sleepwalking through the nightmare of life. I'm offering you a chance to be aware, to be involved.
In what?
Plate tectonics of the gods.
So I returned it to the sender. And I knew that it was you.
Underneath the Earth's surface, there are plates. When these plates break, we get earthquakes. When they break really deep, continents divide. People die. It happens all the time. It's the gods are old.
What gods?
God, little God, the God that deals with us earthbound wizards. Small God, God that deals with you and people like you. Fatalata, the God of fate.
She sounds tough.
She's a bitch. Now, like I said, these gods are old. Earthbound wizards, gypsies, and Renaissance men are working their way up the ladder, becoming higher up in the infrastructure.
What infrastructure?
When you think something, it's already been thought. Ideas are passed down through the universal thought process from God to mere mortals, babies, crickets even. Everybody knows something, but some people don't know they know anything.
What do you know?
I know it all. At least more than you know. I'm an earthbound wizard.
What am I?
I guess something higher than a cricket and lower than a baby. I'd say a genius.
A genius is lower than a baby?
Geniuses are arrogant and comfortable, so they decide to stop learning. They become experts. Nobody knows less than an expert. Your rank is not how smart you are, but how smart you might become. A baby's just begun.
And God is the smartest?
Yes.
So he really knows everything.
Yes.
So he really can't learn anything.
Yes.
Then God is an idiot. He can't learn anything. He's got nothing left to learn. No more horizons to expand upon.
Except about the failures of man. Those are endless.
Tell me about the infrastructure.
Yes. Plate tectonics of the gods. People are climbing their way up. Renaissance men, earthbound wizards, gypsies, they all aspire to godhood. Some have reached it, created a niche, reached a cult.
Aren't cults bad?
Don't try to fool me. You'll never be more than a genius.
But I proved God is an idiot.
No, you proved God is an idiot.
What's the difference?
God is active in our lives. Far removed, high up in the food chain, but still active, very active. You can feel him.
And just regular God?
For most people, he doesn't exist. He's retired, like the memory of a bad uncle.
And that's for most people?
But not me. God wants me dead.
How do you know?
Because God's making me suffer.
Why?
Because I made a deal with the devil.
The letter said that I was in love with myself. And that self-love is no good for mental health.
It was about my career. The devil told me if I gave it everything, he would give me more in return.
How did the devil tell you this? So I got angry and I hated myself.
He came to me in a dream. He looked like my father.
Then I burnt the letter and felt much better about myself. Do you think your father is the devil?
I never gave my father a Father's Day gift. I think that's pretty cruel.
Did you call him?
Yes.
Well, that's good enough. But in this dream, if the devil said you gave it everything, you would get more in return. That doesn't make any sense. How can you get more than everything?
Because what I'm giving you is just inside of me, my head, my mind, and that's a lot. But the world is bigger than my head, so the devil said if I gave up what was inside of me, expose it, I would be returned with great riches, great fame, great women.
Sounds great. So what's the problem?
God's the problem.
Really?
Yeah, he's Not really into people who make deals with the devil.
Even in a dream?
Even in a dream. Even if I didn't really make a deal with the devil, God knows I was willing to. The intent was there. I've been getting looks from people.
What people?
Everyone. In bookstores. It's like I sit down to have a coffee and I can just feel this buzz all around me. Some people know. I've decided I wasn't meant to be an American. The voices were telling me I wasn't meant to be an American.
What voices?
My voices have choices, nice ones too. So many things to do, without me or with you. My choices have voices, nice ones too.
Oh, you were saying about being an American?
I don't think I am an American. I don't think I ever was one.
Were you born in the United States?
Yes.
Then you're an American.
No, not literally. I mean, there are starving people in this country, right?
Yes, I'm afraid there are.
Shouldn't they be Ethiopians?
I don't follow.
They're drunks here, right?
Yes, there are.
Well, shouldn't they be in Ireland, where they belong?
You know I'm part Irish, right?
I'm sorry.
Sorry for what you said, or sorry that I'm Irish?
And there are whores and drug addicts in this country, right?
Yes.
A place called France for them to dance.
What about America? Who is meant to dance here? Who was America created for?
Liars, thieves, and politicians. Those that don't pray but believe in superstitions. Pick up a penny only on heads. How did George Washington sleep in so many beds? And everyone's questions are muted by meds.
So I guess you're above all this. Where are you supposed to be, Mr. Eddie?
Canada. You see, I'm a calm and peaceful person. I try to be like Jesus, calm and peaceful.
Oh, you know, Jesus wasn't calm and peaceful all the time. He spoke with strength and conviction, and he did scare a lot of people.
I believe in strength through passivity. The sharks eat the minnows, and then the sharks get so full and bloated they drown.
Or float to the shore?
Very good. You know who survives? The middle-sized fish. The middle-sized fish is the intelligent fish, watching the battle, standing behind it, picking the moment, striking when others are vulnerable. You know what the United States is? It's the shark. And we've been programmed to feed the shark minnows, 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 and they'll all go down. The Middle East first, then Europe, then Asia, until finally, who you'd least expect, Mexico. Poor, starving Mexico. Fat red, white, and blue shark will bloat up, and you know who's gonna strike?
Jesus?
No, Canada. Canada is the middle-sized fish. And by that time, I'll be in Calgary, calm and peaceful, probably spending my days as an artist and my nights gathering inspiration in the city. I'll be in a men's club. Canada is the home of the classiest men's clubs in the world, watching the most beautiful women in the world disrobe.
This is your fantasy?
This is my reality. One unsuspecting night, I'll be with a Nova Scotian, taking liberties on my lap with my third eye on the high-definition television. Between some beautiful lady's breasts, I'll catch a glimpse of a TV network devoted exclusively to hockey. A game exquisite year in and year out, unlike your American baseball, which can only generate heat with a rigged home run derby. The hockey will be disrupted, though, by a special news report by the calm, peaceful Canadian Tom Brokaw, who'll say, "We regret to report the shark has sunk. Full report at 11A. Now back to hockey." And for a second, maybe 5 full Canadian minutes, us fine Canadians, us fine Calgarians, will pray for the rest of the world. For the families and friends we left behind. For the sharks and minnows that didn't listen to Canada's wail. The silence will kill us. Some of the dancers will begin to cry. But then we'll hear a voice. "It's time to leave you all behind. If I'm not back again this time tomorrow, carry on, carry on."
Freddie Mercury will be resurrected?
No. Maybe. But I was hoping for the jukebox. A machine proven to have a heart. And Freddie's voice will bring us to our new American reality. A reality without America. We'll realize that we are the chosen ones. We are the ones eating apples and killing snakes in the new Garden of Eden. And, because it's not our job, we can't even bury the dead, but merely try to ignore their stench.
But what about your deal with the devil?
I will be pardoned because I was smart enough to move to God's country.
Your envelope of ashes reads, "Go to hell."
Who said Calgary is God's country?
Brett the Hitman Hart. Now this story, so gory, so full of glory, I must tell.
All this time, we've been living with our fears, just you and me. and the government. But now is the time to set things right with you and me and the government. And we know it won't be long, won't be long, since we know that something's wrong with you and me and the government. Who is this government anyway? And what are we all doing here? Thinking, hoping, there's this candidate, that candidate, the other one over there. But I'm here to tell you, the government's got a tough job to do. And if we all just think about it, step back for a moment, we can all work this thing out together. We can all be free. This love affair is the only thing I know. The three of us must get along, 'cause now is the time to set things right with you and me and the government. Protest people separate us. Those union workers, they all hate us. They hate you and me and the government. They hate you and me and the government. They hate you and me and the government. They hate you and me and the government.
That was God's Country, a short film that I wrote and directed myself right here on Short Film Showcase. At this time, I'm very happy to introduce a good friend of mine and our next guest, Rick Dumont.
Good to see you, Mike.
How are you, Rick?
Very good. Yourself?
I'm great.
Excellent.
And you came in from quite a distance. We appreciate it. Where'd you come from?
New Hampshire Seacoast.
Nice.
Out by Dover.
Yep.
For anybody out there who knows Dover, the New Hampshire Seacoast area. We have a little town called Madbury right next door. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how's that in the summertime?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. It's out of the way enough so you don't deal with the beach traffickers and all that good stuff, but it's close enough that it's, a 10-minute ride to the beach. So.
Nice. And Rick, we were just saying off camera, but you're a filmmaker with Sweaty Turtle Entertainment, and you do a TV show called, is it Indie Rising?
Indie Rising, yes.
Yeah. Tell us about your show.
Yeah, it's a new program. We're going to be airing it on local access channels as well as on the web. It basically, similar to what you do here, but it's more of a news program combined with a little bit of talk and a little bit of action that spotlights not just filmmakers, but actors and musicians and artists and comedians and authors and all of the artists of New England who are really elevating what they've done, what their craft is, and really making some things happen.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you'll have that up on like YouTube or something?
It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on, it airs, we're shooting it at PPM TV out of Portsmouth.
Okay.
And then it'll be airing on their website and on their stations and other local access stations as we pick them up and go from there. Yeah.
We were saying before that New England area is thought to be this little cluster of something, but it's really pretty stretched out.
It is stretched out, and there's a lot of unbelievably talented people,
yes,
either that have come from here or are here, one or the other.
And you're kind of a road warrior because you got to get to Boston or to get to Connecticut or parts of Massachusetts, even Rhode Island. You're in your vehicle just
constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like every couple of weeks I'm changing the oil in the thing because I'm putting the 3,000, 4,000 miles on it.
Wow. Wow. Good for you. Very dedicated. Yeah. So tell us about some of your current projects and how they fit into your life and career.
How they fit into my life. Well, they are my life.
They are really.
Well, the TV show, I mean, specifically is something that I think is near and dear to me because as a journalist or as a former journalist, entertainment-wise, I noticed how many talented people there were out there, and wanted to give a forum for those people, kind of like what you're doing for myself and others, and really get the news out there that the talented folks in New England are not just Adam Sandler, Aerosmith,
Right.
the Cars, etc. You know, you pick a name,
Sure.
but there's other people that are in that level and they're rising.
Yes.
You know, so hence the name Indie
Indie
Rising.
Rising, I
So
like it.
there's that, and then there's the feature films that I've shot. Block that out for a second.
Yeah, film showcase.
But
Gotta-
yeah, I have 3 feature films. 2 are done. One is in post, and it's getting closer to being ready for release. And we actually just signed a deal with R Squared Films through Tobacco Films up in Maine to
Yeah.
have all 3 distributed, Hulu and the Netflixes and Googles and Amazons and all of those online servers.
So that's got to feel great.
It definitely feels great. And one of the things I was told, and I don't like to toot my own horn all the time.
Ah, 2
but-
away, we're here.
but one of the things that Kevin DeBacco told me was that I'm the first filmmaker from New England to have a 3-picture deal
Nice.
with this company. So
That's got to feel great.
it does feel good.
Yeah, Kevin's a real good guy. He looks out for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. And he's up in Maine.
Right.
And so, not to get into the specifics too much, but this little community of New England, or a big community, so to speak, you can make connections from other states.
Oh, definitely.
And even someone say in California, they might be working with someone in Texas. And the internet age that we're still right in the middle of connects people much more.
Oh yeah, especially where there's people that are from here that have moved out there,
Right.
And they're making their way, you know. And we're profiling a couple of them on the show, as well as some New York people that were from here and now they're out there. So there's definitely that, you know, the tentacles.
Right.
The tentacles run long from New England. Let's put
Yes.
it that way.
You talk about your 3-picture deal.
Mm-hmm.
Are these films? I'm just asking. Are you the writer, director, producer, just director?
In 2 of them, in 3 of them, I'm the writer and producer. In 2 of them, I was one of the lead actors. In 2 of them, I directed.
Nice. Nice.
So the 3rd film, Fraternitas, I didn't direct. I played the lead character in it, but I produced it and wrote it. So
And what's that one about?
it is kind of the story of a former entertainment journalist.
Right. Who's that?
He comes out of a stint in rehab and goes back to his alma mater to become a professor, and kind of falls back in with his old fraternity, and it shows the turmoil of family and drug addiction and the draw of that kind of life, that alternative lifestyle.
So this is a pretty heavy drama, I would say.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're not afraid to go into the depths of the human soul, it seems
No,
like.
not at all. That's often where I like to go.
Nice.
Where I'm drawn to go.
Right.
You know, it's not necessarily like, but it's, I think because of my background as a not just an entertainment journalist, but prior to that I was a police dispatcher for many years. And then when I was a journalist, I was also a crime and entertainment reporter.
Wow.
So I had all of that kind of building in my system. And when I've sat down to write, pretty much everything turns towards that inner darkness.
You've
inner
seen some
turmoil.
stuff go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a funny story, my next feature film that's in pre-production right now is a sci-fi, but a friend of mine and I had conceived it 20 years ago when we were in college. And I sat down to actually write it about 3 or 4 years ago. And it went from a comedy to this dark sci-fi
Right.
just as it evolved out of my head. It was really, really interesting to see that change in the storyline.
The movie or the script will be what it wants to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. And sometimes as the writer or director, you have to get out of the way.
The muse dictates, and you know, there's oftentimes when I'm writing, and you as well probably, I mean, it's very hard to keep up
Right.
as it's flowing. You know, you're typing or you're handwriting, and
Right.
it's like, I can't, it's coming so fast that it's very difficult to maintain, get everything down on paper.
Yeah. Only if we had twice as many hours in a day, we could actually sleep.
Yeah, exactly. What's sleep?
I don't know.
I know nothing of sleep.
Rick, man, this is great. So when and you mentioned that you're acting in some of these pieces too. Are you playing the former journalist who goes back to the school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're preparing to play the character, how do you switch, you know, whatever you're doing prior to that on the project, writer, director, producer, but when you go into actor mode, how do you focus? What's your approach to taking on the character analysis?
Well, sometimes, I mean, especially in Fraternitas, it was difficult in some respects I mean, it was nice, it was easy in some respects because I wasn't directing, so I didn't have to pay that close attention to all the particulars. But at the same time, being the producer and being the, the visitor, welcoming all the actors to be on, that were in the scenes, et cetera, that was part of in my head. But I would take time, especially for the more dramatic points, to step aside and go away and hide for a little while and kind of just get within myself and think about why I wrote the scenes the way they were written and what they were all about and how they need to be portrayed and the emotional impact. Because a lot of it stems from my experience in college, that particular story, and my experience as a reporter, but more so, it's kind of my atonement film,
Okay.
if you will, based on what happened within my fraternity
Right.
when I was there, and the debauchery and the decadence and the misogyny and things like that went on. I never felt fully comfortable dealing with that when I was a student.
Right.
But now I have a chance to kind of go, sorry.
That's very deep.
And
That's very
hopefully-
deep. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very personal story, so yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Fraternitas is what it's called.
Fraternitas.
And you took the word fraternity and you kind of, how did you?
Added a little Greek ending to it,
Nice.
I guess. Changed it a little bit.
Are there guys that you went to college with that you would feel like, man, I got to show these guys this film, see what they think, or?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
in a sense, I mean, Mike O'Malley was one of my frat brothers at the time. I actually got to haze him.
Wow.
We didn't haze. But no, he was actually one of my early inspirations, even though it didn't manifest until many years later. But to watch him do what he was doing as an actor in college at UNH, I was like, God, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
It really, something inside of me deep that was buried because I didn't have any confidence at the time, but I used to really like watching what he was doing and admired him for that.
Let's talk
of
about,
course, still now, but
yeah, let's talk about that right now. Let's talk about, you're watching this person that you knew in real life, and they're acting, they're doing big things, and you're kind of like, what's going on through your mind? A little bit more of that. Like, was it just that hunger just got tapped into you?
For me, it really exploded, let's put it, the dam to my self-confidence started to break in 2001 when I was a reporter, and I stumbled across this band called the Dresden Dolls.
Yes.
And Brian Viglione and I became very good friends, as well as Amanda and I too, but because Brian was from New Hampshire and grew up in the town where my newspaper was based, I was like, I get to chronicle this guy's entire career.
Right.
And for 13 years, I've done that.
Wow.
Everything this guy's done, I've written about, as a freelancer or as a full-time reporter. But I also looked at him like, if he could do that, be so theatrical and so, he just didn't care about what he was doing on stage and was really just expressing himself. I was like, I've always wanted to do that. I can probably do that.
Right.
If I just burst out.
Yes.
And I got the opportunity in 2003 to act on stage.
Nice.
And from there, it was just.
What was the show?
12 Angry Men.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Yes.
Juror number?
I was juror number 11. I was the immigrant juror, and they slicked my hair all back, and I talked kind of like this. And the most amazing thing out of that performance was after the first show, people came up to me and said, "Oh my God, you did such a great Andy Kaufman. That was such a phenomenal Andy Kaufman. You could do such a great one-man show." And I'm going, me and Andy Kaufman in the same sentence? Are you kidding me?
Wow.
I'm just like, thank you.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Right.
As a first-time actor, especially. And it actually inspired me to write a one act about Andy Kaufman.
Nice.
So it hasn't gone up anywhere yet, but.
Well, that's very interesting.
But I did a little thing where Andy Kaufman and Chris Farley met at Heaven's Gate.
Wow.
So
that's great.
What theoretically would have happened when Andy Kaufman's manning the pearly gates? So
that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, the premise is funny, but they could really get deep because Andy Kaufman was a genius, and Chris Farley was a comedic genius. You know, as far as just throwing his body around and having fun and
absolutely
and doing anything to make people laugh.
Yep.
That guy and Kaufman probably did anything to make people think. So just
he definitely made people think.
Yeah.
And react.
Right.
Whether they were either viscerally or through thought, yeah.
And he was involved in the pro wrestling business, so you can't hold that against him.
Well, that's kind of how it ends. The play
Yeah.
actually ends, not to give it away, but there's another female wrestler that wants to take him on.
Wow. And not to well, you could digress all day about it. He used to wrestle women, and if you beat me,
He was the intergender champion.
right, he was. And if the ladies beat him, they would shave his head.
Yeah.
But he never
He
lost
never
his
lost.
hair. Yeah.
But he did lose in the play.
Okay. All right. No more. That's really cool. How you went from. I mean, just follow that real quick. You had this desire. You got the stage play, The 12 Angry Men. You were in it, and then based on the reviews or the feedback from the audience, you took it to another level as far as the Andy Kaufman piece.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of happened throughout this process that I've been involved with. I call it kind of a tsunami that I'm surfing.
Right.
Of just creative madness, more or less. That this one particular scene in my second film, The Bond, we were shooting the scene at the beach, and I'm standing up on the rocks looking down at the cast, and it was a particular scene where these 5 goth vampire type people, 4 women and 1 guy, are standing there and they're accosting the lead actors. And I'm looking at these 5 people going, oh my God, they look so beautiful together. They need a story. They have to have a story. And I ended up writing a screenplay solely based on their look.
Wow.
And it kind of evolved out into this futuristic vigilante kind of saga.
What's that piece called?
It's called Gulabis.
Okay.
And really it also stemmed in part from my extreme hatred or dislike, to put it PC, of people who abuse women or domestic violence kind of situations. And what these 5 characters are, they're the vigilantes who go out and take care of business that the government's not taking care of in the future. And the name itself came from when I was taking a break from writing one day, and I'm reading the news, and there was like a little story in one of the News of the Weirds kind of articles about this group of women in India who they're in the outskirts of the cities, and they're so fed up with the fact that the government's not taking action on domestic violence that they themselves have ganged up. They wear pink saris, carry these bamboo sticks called kathas, and they go to the homes of abusive men and they exact justice on them. And I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. So in the story, in the screenplay, one of the characters is like the great-great-granddaughter of one of the Gulabis. So it's kind of follows through, as a little bit of historical accuracy kind of thing.
Very interesting. I was just about to say you look like a very peaceful Zen type of guy, Rick, but now I'm not so sure.
Well, I am, but only not when it comes to people who abuse other people or abuse animals.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have any tolerance for those kinds of people.
That's great.
So, and it seems like a lot of my subject matter kind of revolves around empowering women kind of stories. I don't really know why, but I gratefully accept it and take a run at it. So.
Is there another piece that is like that, the empowerment of women?
Every one of them.
Okay.
Every single one of them I've done.
Yeah.
Actually, Brothers in Communion which was my first film. More or less, the female characters in the story were able to get away from, as it turned out, drug abuse and some mental illness issues, and grow and live their lives. In The Bond, the lead female character, she was the one being tormented by everything that was going on, misogynistic bosses and things like that. So she was able to overcome those kind of things. And Fraternitas, obviously the female, not to give too much away in this story, but there's a victimization situation in the film where the female character gains strength by standing up to those who abused her, and of course the wife of the lead character, played by Diana Porter.
The great Diana Porter.
Yes, unbelievably great.
Yeah.
Very hard to act opposite her sometimes, a big challenge, but wonderful because she just elevated my game so much. But she, as that character, to grow beyond some of the things that her husband did in the story, and be able to move forward. So yeah, it's a constant theme, running theme through pretty much everything I've written.
That's
is,
great.
As a female, that strength.
You don't have to be a woman to love women.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
That's great.
It's a respect thing, absolutely.
Love and respect.
Yeah.
I think that's terrific. And Diana was on the show previous, and she's a great actress, obviously.
And a wonderful human being as well.
Yeah. I think this is a really depthful conversation. We got a couple of minutes left. What else would you like to say to? And this is interesting. People like people that watch our show that aren't involved creatively and are just sitting here at home, you know, watching their computer, maybe at their 9-to-5 work or something, saying, "Man, these people are so interesting, but how do they get involved? You know, what's the baby step?"
The baby step. It depends. I mean, are you talking like, do you want to be an actor? Do you want to be a writer or a producer, or how does one?
I'm just thinking
it's a variety of, I mean, obviously pathways, but
it's almost like a self-confidence or an inspiration
it's
thing,
definitely a
isn't it?
self-confidence thing. I mean, growing up for me, I long admired, especially Adam Ant and Prince.
Okay.
Back in my high school days, just for what they brought forth on stage and you know, that theatricalness to their music and their performances, but never had that confidence myself to ever do something like that.
Right.
Until now.
Yeah.
Which I'm thankful I finally do.
You tapped in.
Yeah, it's a situation, I think, either someone finds that certain inspirational person that they can look to and go, hey, if they can do it, so can I.
Right.
Or they just go, screw it, I'm going to do it.
They hit the wall.
And go and blow and just say, I'm just going to go nuts and see what happens. I think, you know, a little baptism of fire kind of thing always helps to challenge you and see if you can handle it.
Right.
And then if you do and you get the bug like I got, and, you know, it's off to the races.
Off and running. I was just about to say off and running. Yeah. You don't drink, you don't smoke, what do you do? Adam Ant. Just had to throw that in there, because you said Adam Ant.
Absolutely.
We don't get a lot of...
It's funny, I met a guy on set of The Ascendants
Yeah.
a while back who kind of resembled Adam Ant.
Yeah.
And I said that to him, and he's like, who's Adam Ant?
Oh.
And I'm like, all right, if you ever want to work with me, you need to find out who Adam Ant is.
Right.
And he did. He went, and like a couple days later, he emails me. He's like, oh my God, Adam Ant.
Goody two-shoes, yeah. We've run out of time, but this has been a pleasure. I mean,
absolutely.
we have to have you back on again.
Oh, I'd love to be back, absolutely.
Thanks, Rick Dumont.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much. We've had a great episode of Short Film Showcase today. I want to thank our two wonderful guests, Jan Waldman and Rick Dumont. I'd like to say that if you are a potential actor, potential filmmaker, director, producer out there, and you're wondering, how do I get started? Well, just look at newenglandfilm.com, the Facebook groups, Hollywood East Actors Group. Find yourself some connections to other people with like-minded thoughts. Because if you can dream it, shoot it. I'm Mike Messier for Short Film Showcase.